preparedness, everyday caring, SHTF, gear, Patriot Prepper.
Let me say this right out the gate, and I want this to sit heavy on your chest for a second. Life doesn't warn you. It doesn't tap you on the shoulder. It doesn't care how good of a person you are, how hard you work, or how much you meant to prepare. It just happens. And when it does, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your preparedness. That's the truth most people don't want to hear. We've been conditioned to believe emergencies come with sirens, breaking news alerts, flashing red banners across the TV screen. We've been trained to think danger announces itself, that if something bad is coming, someone would tell us first. Well, guys, that's a lie. That is a lie. Most events that permanently change your life happen quietly, suddenly, and without permission. And by the time that you realize what's happening, you're already behind. Think about how many people woke up on a normal morning, kissing their spouse goodbye, telling their kid that they'd see them later, and never coming home the same person. No, not because of war, not because of some Hollywood level disaster, but because of one moment, one medical emergency, one wrong place at the wrong time, one decision that they didn't even realize they was making. Let's talk about medical emergencies, because this one is brutal and unforgiving. Your heart doesn't send you a warning email. Your brain doesn't give you a countdown before a stroke. Severe allergic reaction doesn't wait until help is nearby. 1 minute you're fine. The next minute you're on the floor, gasping for air, and the people around you are frozen because they never thought what they would do if this actually happened. They panic. They argue. They waste time. And time is one thing that you do not have. See, most people think being prepared medically means owning a first aid kit. Although that is comforting, right? But that's not preparation. That's ownership. Being prepared is knowing exactly what to do when the blood's on the floor, when someone can't breathe, when a child is screaming and your hands are shaking, but you still have to move. Being prepared means you already played the scenario in your head before it even happened. It means that you already decided who you're calling for help, who's rendering aid, and what your first action is going to be. Because when stress hits, your brain doesn't invent a solution. It reverts back to habits. If you never thought about it, you won't magically figure out when seconds matter. Now let's talk about something else, about job loss. Because this one destroys families slowly and quietly. One day you're providing, and the next day you're disposable, right? No warning, no loyalty, no concern for your mortgage, your kids, your grocery bills. Just a meeting, or a badge being turned in, or a drive home that feels longer than it ever has before. And here's the part that most people don't like admitting. But job loss creates desperation, and desperation creates bad decisions. Bad decisions put people in dangerous situations. Financial preparedness, it isn't about greed. It's about time. Time to breathe, time to think, time to make smart moves instead of panic moves. When you don't have a cushion, everything becomes an emergency. Every bill feels like a threat. Every unexpected expense becomes a crisis. And when stress stacks up like that, people miss signs. They ignore risk, and they put themselves in harm's way just trying to survive. Prepared people don't panic when income stops. They shift, they adapt, they survive. Not because they're lucky, but because they plan for the possibility of that rug that could be pulled out from under them at any moment. Car accidents are another brutal reminder that warnings are a luxury. You can do everything right. Have your seatbelt on, eyes on the road, hands at the 2 and the 10. None of that matters when someone else makes one bad decision. One distracted driver, one blown stop sign, 1 second too late. Now you're injured. Your family is trapped. Traffic is piling up. Fuel is leaking. And you're standing there realizing how fast a normal day can turn into chaos. That moment, it doesn't care if you're normally careful. It cares whether you are ready right now. Preparedness, it isn't paranoia. It's realism. It's knowing that accidents don't politely wait for help to be nearby. It's understanding that you may be your own first responder for the people that you love. Now let's go a little bit darker. Let's talk about crime, right? Robberies don't send warnings. Home invasions don't knock politely. Violence does not wait until you feel ready. Criminals don't care about your comfort zone. They care about opportunity. They look for predictable patterns, soft targets, and people who aren't paying attention. Most victims, they say the same thing afterwards. I never thought it could happen to me. Or I never thought it would happen here. I never saw it coming. See, prepared people don't rely on hope. They rely on awareness. They pay attention to their surroundings. They think about exits. They notice behavior. They understand that this world isn't fair and danger does not schedule appointments. But they don't walk around scared. They walk around awake. And here's the uncomfortable truth that most people avoid. The most dangerous part of any emergency isn't the event itself. It's the moments right after, when confusion sets in. Now, this is what I want to hear from you. Not the YouTube version of you, the real one. Because I guarantee some of you watching this have already lived through one or several of these moments. Maybe it was a medical emergency. Maybe it was a wreck. Maybe losing a job. Maybe it was a situation where things got dangerous fast. I want you to comment below and tell me, were you prepared? Or was you caught flat-footed? What happened? What went right? What went wrong? And if you could go back, what would you change today? Not for me, though. For the person reading your comment who hasn't lived that yet. And I'll say this too. If you do comment on this video and you are subscribed, you're automatically entered into our next giveaway. No gimmicks, no hoops, just real gear going to real people who are taking preparedness seriously. Because preparedness isn't a competition, guys. It's a community. All right. So like I said, the most dangerous part of any emergency isn't the event itself. It's the moment right after, when confusion sets in, when nobody knows what to do, when people argue, when fear takes over. That's where preparation separates survivors from victims. Preparedness starts in the mind long before it ever shows up in your gear. You think through scenarios not because you expect the worst every day, but because when that worst happens, thinking time is over. You plan because it removes hesitation. You execute because execution beats panic every single time. Now let's expand this out a little bit, because here's the one part a lot of people miss. So when you prepare for medical emergencies, job loss, car accidents, violent encounters, you're not just preparing for those specific events. You're building a system that works during power outages, a system that works during civil unrest, a system that works during natural disasters, and a system that works when communication fails, supply chains break, or help is delayed. See, preparedness stacks, it compounds. Skills overlap, gear carries over, and the mindset applies everywhere. The same awareness that keeps you from being robbed keeps you from walking into riots, ambushes, or bad situations during larger crises. That same medical readiness that saves a life at home works during grid down events and disasters. That same financial buffer that gets you through a layoff keeps your family fed during inflations and shortages. That's why real preparedness isn't about one scenario. It's about resilience. And that brings me to why I refuse to leave my home without my EDC every single day. Not because I expect trouble, because trouble doesn't ask for permission. My EDC isn't about looking tough or playing hero. It's about accountability. It's about knowing that if something happens, I am not helpless. It's about having a light when power goes out, medical tools when someone's bleeding, communications when phones fail, defense when escape is not an option. It's about stacking odds back into my favor. Because once you truly understand how fast things can go sideways, you stop trusting luck. You stop trusting probably. You stop trusting that someone else will handle it. You take responsibility. Let me leave you with this. If you're waiting for a warning, you're already behind the curve. If you're waiting for certainty, you're gambling with your future. If you're waiting for permission, you surrendered control. Preparedness is not fear. Preparedness is respect for reality. Think now, while you have time. Plan now, while you're calm. Execute later, when others freeze. And if this video made you uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is awareness waking up in you. Share this with people you love, not to scare them, but to protect them. Because when it happens, and it will, there will be no warning, only action. Thank y'all. Remember, those who prepare today survive tomorrow. Patriot Prepper out.